All right, let's talk hard numbers. First one that we have, 201.
So one of the reasons that the U.S. was so comfortable pulling out of the Iran deal is that U.S. companies have almost no exposure to Iran, right? In 2017, total U.S. trade with Iran was only $201 million. By comparison, European trade with Iran was $25 billion. So that's one of many reasons why the Europeans were opposed to pulling out of the Iran
Right,
deal.
but some of those companies that have deals in place with Iran also deal with America,
right.
American companies. I mean, the way I understand this sanctions is that even an American company that does business with a European company is no longer allowed to do that.
Right. They're what's called secondary sanctions. That the U.S. Is able to sanction companies that do business with a third country, even if they're not American countries. And the reason they're able to do this is because all of these companies use the U.S. financial system. Anytime you use a dollar in a transaction, you're using the U.S. financial system. So that gives the U.S. government jurisdiction to impose sanctions on companies, even if they're not American companies.
Interesting. 1 million.
So a new Red Cross report says that the number of Venezuelan refugees who have gone to Colombia is now much higher than previously thought. It is actually 1 million people.
That's incredible, because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and it was much lower than this, at least the official number that we received.
The official number a few weeks ago was 650,000. But if it's a million, I mean, look, by any measure, 650,000 or a million is still a tremendous refugee crisis.
Yes.
And it's not getting as much attention as it ought to.
I mean, and is there anything... These countries, for example, Brazil, Colombia, they're accepting these Venezuelan refugees. Are they at all involved in trying to fix the crisis there? I mean, I sort of liken it to what happened in the 90s in Bosnia, where Europeans had to get involved in something. It wasn't just the United States that was going to be able to help them fix it. What's going on in Latin and Central America to fix this problem?
Well, look, the surrounding countries right now are dealing primarily with the challenges of accepting those refugee inflows, right? I mean, there's been pushback from some of the border regions in Brazil asking the federal government to close the border, right? The issue of refugees has become a big one in the Colombian election, which will be in 2 weeks' time. So at the moment, they're focused mainly on kind of trying to deal with the outflow. The next big step in this will be after the Venezuelan presidential elections on May 20th, which all outside observers have already said and seen quite clearly is not going to be a fair election. That will probably prompt another round of sanctions. Of course, whether that hurts the population or the politicians remains to be seen, but this crisis is certainly going to get worse.
All right, 70. This is regards to Russia's economy.
So the Russian economy would have to grow by 70% in order to meet Vladimir Putin, who was recently re-inaugurated for his 4th term as president. It would have to grow 70% in order to meet his goal of being the world's 5th largest economy by 2024. And I should point out that President Putin has already promised to make Russia the world's 5th largest economy 5 times, starting in 2008. So we'll see if 6 times a charm.
Yeah, I will be watching. Alex Kliment, always great to have you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can check out all of these stories and more by subscribing to the Signal newsletter. Sign up for it at g0media.com.